I have one question for you, and if I don't ask, there's going to be some mad people. Where'd you graduate boot camp?
Paris Island.
Paris Island! You can stay, I guess. Who would have liked to hear San Diego? Where's that at?
From Paris Island,
What year was that?
I ended up in Quantico, Virginia, and I was in a 90mm anti-aircraft battery. Then we embarked from there to through the canal up to Oahu, and that was the first time I saw the destruction of the U.S. fleet in the harbor. While I was, the next stop from Oahu was the Marshall Islands. I was with a 155 Long Tom coastal battery on the island of Majuro. Majuro was the atoll that took the whole Sixth Fleet. And at that time, I was, being an artist, I was recruited to do drawings for the Navy newspaper, the Marshall Air, which was the official naval paper on that island. And I recall that I used to go swimming every day. I had a pretty good deal. Being just all I had to worry about was drawing some cartoons and you know, writing something for a column. And I recall that one morning I was swimming in the lagoon. I went out in the lagoon and I saw the entire Sixth Fleet. At that time, it was probably the greatest armada of all time, like aircraft carriers and battleships, destroyers. And I went out there with my friend who was very friendly with the natives. And he got these beads. And we used to swim out, and all we were wearing were the beads. And we would swim out to these ships, and we were up against one of the big aircraft carriers, and we heard the officer say, now hear this, on port side, there are 2 Polynesian swimming up to the, and he started to say, these Polynesians live on fish and coconuts, and they're great swimmers, and he went on, and then he went down to Jacob Ladder, called us over, we swam up to him, and he said, he wanted the beads. So I said, you know, I went like this. So he said, he opened up his wallet, and I plucked a $20 bill. The guy said, hey, these gooks really know a lot about money. So that was my first, and then later I ended up with the 10th Marines, 105 howitzers. And yeah, artillery, and I was on Saipan, and from Saipan we were training for the invasion of Kyushu, and our training was on the island of Agrahan in the Northern Marianas. And I recall that while we were training there for the final, what we considered to be the final battle, we heard the news that they dropped a bomb on Hiroshima. And about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days later, they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. And the announcement came over that Japan had unconditionally surrendered. And I recall, very interesting, there were quite a few cheers, but most of the guys in my outfit, it was like a reprieve from a death sentence. They knew that, you know, if we were going to go to land on Kyushu, we would suffer severe casualties. So that next operation, we occupied Nagasaki, and I'll never forget, we got there early dawn, and it was a very foggy night, a foggy morning, And as we climbed down the rope ladders onto the, I saw bodies floating in the water. It was a very eerie situation. And from there, we were to occupy the Omura Naval Base, which was the kamikaze headquarters for that naval unit. And they had, when we walked into the main administration building, and on the major wall facing the entrance was a mural depicting an American aircraft carrier being smashed by a fist from the sky. And of course the Japanese letters, which we found out later, meant divine wind, the kamikaze. So the colonel called me over. He said, George, what do you need to paint over this? So I said, well, give me about 12 guys with uniforms. I need some Japanese. Then he said, well, how about 16? And so I had, while I was on this tour, I had 16 Japanese guys report to me. One guy's job was to get me beer. Another guy did my laundry. And, I was sorry to leave because I was there. I was able to convert warehouses into, first of all, the Enlisted Men's Club. And then the next job I got was to do the NCO's club. The officers never got a chance to use me because I had enough points to leave. So I had a great time being up there. And my commanding officer was transferred to another area, and he asked me if I would go up there and decorate their place for the Christmas holidays. And I recall that he told me, he says, when I'm not using the Jeep, you could use the Jeep. You get me a case of beer. So I really had during my stay in Japan, it was very rewarding. You know, another item that I might mention about the Marine Corps. When I was on the island of Majuro, this friend of mine was a very entrepreneurial guy. He got all these old canvases, you know, these cots, and he got me some colored pencils. And we used to go out to the Marine Air Base, and I would sketch the guys in their cockpit, you know, with the bombing insignia, you know, the bombing on the side of their cockpit. And they would give us 2 bottles of scotch that they got after every raid. And I recall that one guy, to show you the kind of discipline the Marines had, this guy came up to me, he said, young pilot, he said, how'd you like to fly over a Japanese island? I said, yeah. So he took me on, he had an SBD Dauntless, and we flew over Woji, which at that time was occupied by the Japanese. And that was one of the very rare experiences that I encountered. Interesting.
George, you want to mention your souvenir that you brought back?
Oh, when I left, I was one of the few Marines that they threw a big party for me because of my, and they presented me with a samurai sword and a Japanese parachute, which
You still have them? You still have them?
Oh, I gave one to my grandson. You know, I gave him my my samurai sword. I figured you hand the sword down to the next generation, and he
How old
might
are
become
you?
a Marine.
How old are you?
I'm 92.
Oh, wow.
Great shape, man. Great shape.
Well, thank you very much.
To the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. claim the title of United States Marines. Hoorah!
Very good. Sergeant Arms, please retire the colors.
And salute. 2.